Welcome to Interstellar Cosmic Conversations, where we share experiences from our hearts to empower others. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Interstellar Cosmic Conversations. Today, my guest is Robyn Iacuone. Robyn and I actually met through a mutual acquaintance and friendship that we have with George Kavassilis. And what was so interesting about our connection with one another, we've only spoken live one time, and we both are very aware that we're empaths. And so it became very apparent that we should do an interview on what an empath is. And so I'm so excited to have her here. And Robyn, thank you so much for being here. And I'm just going to let you do a little introduction of yourself. I don't like to do a big ta-da. I like to let you introduce yourself. So let's do it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Patricia.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so my name's Robyn and I work as an empath coach. And an empath coach is someone who just supports empaths in being who they are and discovering what they can do here, how to look after themselves and feel better. And it's just a great way to feel safe in the world as well. I think that's really important for us out there. We're all struggling at the moment and trying to work out what's going on. But if you can get support, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I agree with that. And thank you. And so I would like to ask you this just for everyone listening, because I have spoken with you. And sometimes when I'm interviewing people, I've never spoken with them before. And so I have spoken with you once before. And so just to let everyone know, how did you become aware of the fact that you're an empath? You know, what was occurring in your life that all of a sudden you realized, whoa, I'm
That's
different.
right.
Yeah.
I've been curious about spirit since I was 19. So it was always a huge desire within me to find out more about why I'm here, I think was probably the motivation for me. And I read a book when I was 19 called What Dreams May Come, and that's what started me off. Back in the 80s, empaths were called light workers. So for a long time it was about light workers, and then it's only probably been the last 5 or 6, 7 years that the term empath has come out. So I was watching a video that someone posted on YouTube called What is an Empath? And I watched it, and I ran downstairs and ran to my husband and showed it to him. He goes, "That's you!" So I trained as a life coach, wanting to specialise in working with empaths because I know how hard it is to be one, and finding out all the different traits that make us an empath is what really helps us to find that out. So a lot of research.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's just go to it. What is an empath?
Okay, so I just want to, as I mentioned before, I just want to share something.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
And it makes it easier.
Okay, you want to share the screen?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Okay, so can you see that?
Absolutely. Amber, can you see it? You don't have to say anything. You can just actually type in the text, the chat bar if you would like, and just let us know that you see it. I just want to make sure we can all see it. All right.
Hi, Amber.
I can't tell. Maybe I need my glasses. I'm back on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
It'll be on the video recording either way.
Yep, that's right. So this is my emotional sensitivity and intelligence scale. So as you can see in the middle is everyone else. On the one extreme is the psychopaths and sociopaths. So just talk about them for a moment. Psychopaths and sociopaths have no ability to feel other people's emotions.
Right.
So they put themselves first. They don't care about how anyone else feels. It doesn't have any doesn't register with them at all that they're hurting someone or making someone happy. They just don't care.
Okay.
So on the other extreme is the empaths, where we put everyone else before us.
Yes.
We feel everything that's going on for other people. And the difference between a highly sensitive person and an empath is that highly sensitive people can sense the emotions of others and can feel those emotions. But an empath actually helps people to process those emotions. So, for instance,
thank you, because I am a huge empath, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to say thank you because that was so significant to me, because in doing this interview with you, I am understanding myself as well, okay?
Absolutely. And that's what is so empowering about learning about what it is to be an empath, because you understand yourself. You don't think, a lot of people think, am I crazy because I'm feeling these things?
Yeah.
And it's not. It's in our nature. We can't do anything to stop that because it's in our nature, just like it is in the nature of a lion to eat an antelope. You know, there's nothing. It's beautiful. We've chosen it. So
it would. Yeah. So I've told my husband, I said, this is the weirdest thing about my personality. My personality is an extrovert and an introvert, and this is where it comes into play. I'm an empath. That makes me an extrovert. But however, I'm very introverted personally, but because I'm such a huge empath, it takes me out of that introverted state into the extrovert. And it's so weird because I don't really know how to explain it to anyone. I don't
get the emotions of other people.
Sorry.
That's pulling you out.
Yeah, because I don't get lonely. I never get lonely. I enjoy alone time. And so when someone says I'm lonely, I'm like, I can feel it when someone shares that with me. I finally get it now, but I couldn't for myself because my alone time is like sacred. And I'm pulled out of that because I'm an empath. And so I just the reason this is important for me to share this with you is because I feel like so many of us are that way. When we're an empath, we value our sacred alone time.
Absolutely. And it's, you know, if you're aware that you're an empath and you do that, but there's a lot of people out there that are empaths that kind of feel guilty when they have their alone time because there's so much demand on them by other people. And they just don't take that time. And it is one of the most important things. It's what I call me time.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to, I've had clients go, oh, how can I have me time? I said, you get your diary from 7 till 9 on Tuesday night. You go into your study, your bedroom, a room that you can be by yourself and close the door for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it is so important. It's one of the most important things, with number 2 being grounding.
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't matter what you do as long as you're feeding your soul, your spirit. You're doing what makes you feel just, to me, in harmony with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I apologize. I just wanted to say that because when you brought that up, it was so huge to me.
Yeah, no need to apologise. You know, so there's the highly sensitive people can feel the emotions, but the empaths are the ones that help process it. So if we're aware that emotions are energy in motion, that's what emotions are. So if there's you walk into a room and there's someone who's got this really strong emotion and they don't know what to do with it, an empath will walk in and energetically will take some of that load and take it on to help them process it. We don't do it consciously. It's just in our nature to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be, that's when it can be very wearing when we go out and be with crowds.
Yes.
Because we're taking on all that emotion. I used to have a trouble catching the train home from work because I'd walk into the train carriage and all of a sudden I'd feel really tired because I was helping those people.
Yes.
So the really important thing to be aware of is that you need to process that energy. And there's several ways that you can do it.
Well, we'll go to that later because I've got like I looked at some of the things that we wanted to go over, and so I'd like to do that later because I really want to focus on this part first.
Sure. Yeah.
Get to that, and what you said was so significant just then because it's the same thing for me. It was so interesting. I don't go into big arenas where there's a lot of people because I pick up on so many things. I can tell if someone's happy, sad, excited, depressed, whatever, whatever their emotions are. And so one year, my husband and I went into, and this is when I started to become aware of who I am. We walked into a Walmart on a Christmas Eve. We don't even celebrate Christmas, okay?
Yeah.
And so we'll acknowledge it for people around us because it means so much to them. But we went in and I literally could feel the pissed off feeling of like, why the hell am I here? I don't want to do this, blah, 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 blah. I was seeing everyone's energy on such a crazy level. It was almost like being in a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, that's what it felt like. I was like, I feel like I'm in a horror movie. Like this is like Fright Night or something. And I had to leave. I said, you go do whatever, and I'm just going to go out. I felt such an energetic intrusion because I was picking up on what was going on so many levels. And that was the first time I'd ever experienced it like that I was just like, I was almost panicked. And I didn't even know what had just happened because it was my very first time feeling that. And I was so, like, overloaded,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's so important for everyone to understand that when you're feeling these things, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. It's a gift. It's a gift, and it's a challenge. And so this is why what Robyn's sharing is so important. And so you've explained what's an empath. And so what I really would like to go into now is, why are we empaths? Why are particular people empaths? And why are they here to be an empath? And I think you kind of touched on that a little bit about helping, but why are we empaths? And what are we here to do?
Okay. So we came here, we chose this. That's a huge statement in itself. When you accept that you chose this life, you're not a victim. It's not being done to you. You chose to come here. So there's a really great YouTube clip by Dolores Cannon. Okay. That's called The 3 Waves of Volunteers. So, go and have a look at that. That's really great information there. So the call went out in the universe. This is what Dolores talks about. The call went out that planet Earth needed help. And so all these amazing, incredible beings out there put their hand up. Yeah, I'll help. And then when they got there, you thought, God, what have I done? But we're helping the planet move forward. We're like pillars of light plugging into the earth. And so if you can have that picture of a column in the earth with this bright light, and there's a whole heap of us, it's been said there's 144,000 of us here. And we're here simply to bring light to the planet.
Now, let's go through that for a minute, because I feel like there's such that was so important. Thank you. There's such a negative feeling around the 144,000 because religion distorted it. It took it to mean that you're working for this one false creator being, and so everyone's trying to figure out that. So instead of throwing 144,000 out, let's talk about what 144,000 is.
It's a number.
Well, I mean, there's a reason for it. It's not religious.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good question, because I never really thought about it, because I don't know. I don't know if that's the number. It could be more, it could be less.
Yeah.
I don't really want to put the importance of the number, but you know, the really important thing is that we chose to come here. So one, take responsibility for the fact that you are an empath. That's really important. So when you start taking on the fact that you chose to be here, then you can get about doing your work.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter how many, you could be the only one on the planet, and that's all that matters, because it's your work.
Right.
You know, so we're helping the planet. It's asked for our help, and we're helping it to, you know, whatever this may be, you know, the term ascension is out there, or just the planet moving forward. It's, Mother Earth has asked for our help, and we answered the call. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Sure.
So, you know, Dolores talks about 3 waves of volunteers. So that's some really great information there. If you watch the video, it will help you to understand which wave you're in.
Okay.
And, you know, you and I are probably the first wave.
Okay. And what does that mean?
We had it the hardest.
Okay. It has been hard. Yeah.
We're the ones that, the way showers.
Okay.
You know, so there's a lot of information there about what Dolores says. So that's a great thing to do. But, you know, we're chosen to come here, so take responsibility. And one thing that really, a question that really stands out for a lot of empaths, they ask, how do I protect myself?
Well, I know we're not going there yet, though.
Sorry?
I said we're not going to go there yet. We're going to do that last.
Okay.
Because I know you want to help people so much, and I really appreciate that. But I want that to be last, because there's so many things that we can go over before that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I want that to be the way it ends. So that will be the thing left with them the most, is how to protect themselves. Because that's, to me, that's huge. So Here's what I would ask you next. What are the different types of empaths? You said level 1. And so can you go into that? We're kind of reading each other really well here. And so you're kind of, it's so funny, because we're empaths and we're feeling each other. And I'm like, wow, she's saying what I'm thinking. And then I'm trying to put it into a proper place. But we're really connecting like that. So the different levels in an empath, like you said, we're level 1. So we've been through the most. So can you share what might be the other levels to help others understand as well?
Okay, so that's Dolores's, the 3 waves.
Okay.
I can find something here that helps me explain that.
And one other thing I'd like to know as well is why are we empaths? Okay, you said that we are empaths because we chose to be, but everyone could be. They just didn't choose to be so. And Amber got cut off, and she's letting us know she can't get back in.
Okay, yeah.
Can't seem to get back in. So let me send her a link to help her. She lost her connection. Oh, sheesh. Okay. I had left Facebook open, but I tried not to leave it open while we're talking, but I want to help her get back in if I can.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so while you're doing that, Patricia, I'll just give some information about.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, so here's a brief summary of what Dolores says. So there's the first wave that were born between 1948 and 1964, approximately. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second wave were born between 1963 and 1973.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third wave between 2000 and 2009.
Okay.
So we'll look at the first waivers first. You know, born between 1948 and 1964. So the first wavers are the trailblazers, the ones to show the way, the first to volunteer and have the most difficult time adjusting. First wavers don't like violence and ugliness of this world and have a very strong desire to return home.
Oh, that's me.
I want to go home. I think I call that and so many times. We just want to go home, even though we don't know where that is.
Right.
Just strong, really strong desire. So strong emotions such as anger and hate affect us, as these type of emotions are foreign to us. That we're more comfortable with love and peace because that's the experience from home. So that's the strong feelings from the first wavers.
Okay.
So the second waver's experience is much easier than the first.
Okay.
They are focused on helping others, creating no karma and going unnoticed. They are channels and generators of energy. They don't have to do anything, they can just be. So with the first wavers, it's like I'm here to do something. What is it I'm here to do is our big question.
Mm-hmm.
But with the second wavers, they've adjusted enough to know that they just need to be, and that's all they need to do.
Well, until I understood that what I was supposed to do and that I could not just be. So it took me seeking and going, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, I know, like, I feel so stupid because I'm like this southern redneck girl in the south of the United States that is a nobody in the world. Okay, just look at it like that. I'm not anyone famous. I'm not anyone that is relevant to anyone. And I'm like, but I've got some damn purpose that I'm supposed to be here for. What am I going to do? And so I was really struggling. And so now it's like, oh, I'm a neutral observer. I am here to just be. I'm here to hold space and to help others to facilitate what they're going through. And that'll get into the protection part at the end, because I can tell you where I'm struggling with that too. So I'd like to let that be at the last, because I feel like so many of us that finally get to that point are like, now what? How do we disconnect when we need to? So that was brilliant. And so the different strengths of the empath. See, I think you just did that. I think you're like way ahead of me.
Yeah, but I've talked about the first and the second wave.
Okay.
Now, again, so let me continue with the second wave.
Okay.
Second wavers don't feel comfortable being around people. They prefer to stay at home and secluded to avoid mixing with others. And that's, pretty much all of us feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the third wave are the teenagers. Now, they come in with all the knowledge needed on an unconscious level. Many of these children are misunderstood by society, and sadly, because of this misunderstanding, are being medicated.
Yeah.
So these are all the kids that are said they've got ADHD and they're being put on drugs, and it's to sedate them, where that's the worst thing that we can do to them, because medication, empaths are so sensitive to medications and they damage us.
Thank you. I actually just said this to my husband recently. I said, it's really interesting to me, because what's happening is these kids are coming in and they are a recalcitrant, a rebellion to the matrix. They are rebellious to the system. And so when people look at it, they look at them as loafers and as useless, like bottom feeders or something. Like they're lazy. They don't want to do anything. They know that we are being manipulated and deceived. They understand actually that this isn't how it's supposed to be, that they are a free being. You shouldn't have to pay for resources that are here. You shouldn't have to go work and give your life away, go to school and be programmed. They're getting it. And then their parents are like, you're a waste of space. You're useless. Go to the military. Get a college degree. Because I did that myself and I felt so badly, and I didn't get how my son is such... I haven't shared this with you. I've shared it with other people. At 2 years old with no what we would consider life experience. I had a daughter that died at 5 weeks old. And he came up to me. I was crying, and he just came up to me, and he put his hands on my cheek, and he said, "Mama, why are you crying? Are you sad? Are you sad because baby Jamie died?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Don't worry, Mom, it's going to be okay." And he kissed me at 2 years old.
Mm.
When everyone else was saying, "Don't worry, you can have another one. Don't worry, it'll be okay. You'll have another one." I was like, how would, but he, you know what I mean? It was so different.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. That was his, you know, the soul speaking, you know, and knowing Mum needed to hear that. Yeah.
And to put his hands on my cheek in comfort, like I was just blown away. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. That's really important for us to be aware of with our children, and not even our children, just this generation in general, as when they're coming in, to know that they're in the process of being programmed. They haven't got the full extent of what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah. So, you know, these souls are more advanced and are operating at a higher frequency. So the ADHD thing is that these children need challenges. They need more challenges than the average child to keep them motivated. And, you know, they're the hope of the world and need to be respected for that. So if they're running around, it's because they're bored. So give them challenges.
Thank you.
Give them more to do, things that you would do, because they're so advanced. They need things to motivate them. You know, so what they teach them in school, they've already got that. They need more.
Yeah.
Home teaching these kids, find out what they've got a passion for and teach them as if they were an adult at that stage. So give them little projects to do, give them research to do on the internet to find out more, buy them books, adult books on that, and they will suck that all up.
And just out of curiosity, because when I was a child, they tried to diagnose me with ADHD. And fortunately, my mom was such a cuckoo bird at the time that she would have never invested that much in me, and I thank her for that now. But did anyone try to diagnose you with that, or did that ever come up? I'm just curious, because I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how it is in Australia, but you know, I was born in 1967 here in the United States, and so back in the 70s, they were trying to diagnose me with ADHD. Well, I think they called it ADD then.
Yeah, no, I was diagnosed with dyslexia.
Okay.
So that was I think that was the equivalent.
Okay.
You know, back then, you know, because I was having difficulty learning, but we'll get onto that.
Okay, yeah. So, the next thing I would like to ask you is, how do different types of energies affect us as empaths?
Really important, yeah. So before you were talking about going to Walmart and you walked in and all that negative energy. So that's negative energies, because, you know, you can imagine everyone's in there. It's just before Christmas. I've got to buy this present. You know, what am I going to buy him? And I don't want to spend this much money. All that energy is what you're picking up on. So the opposite of that is going to a concert. I remember I went and saw Riverdance. And the energy was so high there that when I came out of the concert, I felt like I could fly. You know, so, you know, we just take notice of what energy is good and what energy is bad. We know that if we go to a shopping centre, what I mentioned before is the emotions of others. Going to a rock concert, a play of positive energy, we receive that just as much as we receive the negative energy. So we go to places where the energy is good. Best energy is in nature. You know, so going down to the beach where it's, you know, beautiful, or going to a mountain where you can see the sunset. Getting into nature is what heals us the most and helps us to release the energies that we've stored up.
Yeah. I see, it's so interesting too, because when I was younger, and I didn't even I was clueless, okay? I wasn't aware of who I am now, but I can just remember that there was nothing that appealed to me more than being in nature. Nothing. Once I was free from my childhood, which was very traumatic, which I had to leave home at like 16 years old. And I just remember every weekend I was either in the mountains or at the beach. I always had to be in nature.
Yeah.
And I was a tennis player. I was a really great tennis player, really competitive. I could have actually become someone that you would watch on your television set competing. I was that good. But I didn't have confidence in myself, and I didn't want to spend the money also to try to be in a tournament because I didn't have confidence in myself, thinking, well, why would I pay to be in a tournament when I'm probably not going to win? But I was really good. I played with mostly men, and I could beat them. My strength was, with theirs. But, it was just anything that I could do to be outdoors, to be away. I didn't watch television. I didn't care about the music that people were listening to. If I listened to music, it was going to be some sappy love song, like Air Supply would have been my music, because I wanted everything to be about, feelings and love and, all this stuff. So, it was just like, that you're different, but you don't know what to do with that. You don't know what to do with the way that you're so different from everyone else. It makes you feel, it makes you judge yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think all of us has gone through that in childhood, as being different. Mm. And we try to fit in, but it doesn't work.
No.
That's part of the process that we're learning, because we weren't born with a How to Be an Empath book.
Right.
And wouldn't our lives be so different? But the thing is that we have difficult lives for the reason that if we had an easy life, we wouldn't pursue study or helping people. If we were born into rich parents and were treated wonderfully and respected wonderfully, we wouldn't work to move forward. And that's really important to understand, that we've been through a lot of challenges, and that's what empathy is about, understanding how other people feel. So if we didn't understand what it's like to have a broken heart or to be rejected, we wouldn't be as good as we are at processing energy for people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, we'd all like a lovely, easy life, but we didn't come here to do that. That's not, part of the job description.
Thank you. And so I also want to add to that, because when you said that, it really hit me hard, because there's such a movement to make everyone feel like they should be a certain way. They should look a certain way. Like if you're a really healthy person, if your vibrations are, moving at a certain way, then you're going to be a certain weight. You're going to have a certain appearance. There's all these myths out there and all this deception and distortion that's trying to make people feel like the only way that you're really healthy is if you're beautiful. The only way that you're really in tune with who you are is if you are a certain weight, have a certain look, a certain whatever. And that's bull crap, because when you have experienced a life of trauma, and you experienced that by choice because you did want to come here and you wanted to serve humanity, not just humanity, you wanted to serve every being that exists on this planet, in this universe, because you affect everything on a galactic level. It comes with some scars. It comes with some baggage. It comes with wounds. And it's beautiful. And I remember it was so funny because I met a guy from England when I was in my 30s, and I was really self-conscious because I gave birth to twins. And it was so funny. He was like, I said, I have these stretch marks on my stomach. And he goes, I call those battle scars. Yeah. And I was like,
with him. Absolutely.
He was like 21 years old. And he was like, those are battle scars. They're beautiful. And I was like, wow. I mean, most people couldn't see that. He was he was absolutely someone beyond what the Matrix would want you to think that you are, And I was like, wow, these are battle scars. But it was brilliant, And I mean, there's just so much that we don't need to look at physical appearance as necessarily being of health. Of course, when we eat healthy and when we have good spirits and all that, it does reflect in our skin and our hair and our weight and all that stuff, of course. But really, that's kind of like we are actually rebirthing ourselves into that, because we came from so many things. This is a kind of a rebirth, even in this reality of who we are,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like if you had an easy life, you wouldn't understand, you wouldn't have empathy for a person that comes to you that's homeless. You hadn't been through that. We go through a lot of things to increase our empathy.
Mm-hmm.
But having a broken heart, if you, had a relationship from, high school and you were still together, you wouldn't know what it feels like to be abandoned by someone you thought loved you.
Right.
Or the classic with empaths is having a narcissist in their lives.
I would love for you to actually, I meant to say that earlier and I just didn't go there. Thank you for bringing that back up. The narcissist, the psychopath, the sociopath, can you explain who they are and why they're that way? I mean, are you aware enough to share that? I would love it if you are.
Yeah, well, it's like we live on a planet that has black and white, light and dark. There's always got to be the opposite of each other. So empaths are opposites of the psychopaths, and it's whatever their journey that they've come here to learn is a part of the bigger picture, which we can't. There's a million combinations of what that picture would be. So they're here to learn, and they're attracted to us because of what they need to learn. They need to learn to have empathy for other people. Whether their soul gets it in this lifetime, they have to come back a million times to get it. Mm-hmm. But it's, we're the balance for us. And they're also the balance for us to be aware that sometimes we need to be selfish. Mm. So it's opposites attract. And we both can learn from each other. It's just the problem happens when the empath doesn't realise that they're with a narcissist or a psychopath, and it will damage them in the long run, because we give out so much to them and they take so much from us.
Yes.
So, it's really important for an empath to have a relationship with someone who, number one, is supportive of who they are, accepts them as they are, is really important, and lets them be who they are. So when you've got that relationship happening, it's so much easier for an empath. But a psychopath will destroy you. Mm. Especially a narcissist will destroy you.
Especially if you don't. Okay, so here we go. Because I've had experiences with many that I found really interesting. Someone will say, I'm an empath. And I'm like, you're not an empath, because, and I've shared this before too, there's a difference in being centered with self and self-centered. Okay. So I would call myself self-centered, but then I realized, no, you can't really say that to get the point across. It's really centered with self. There's so many people that will claim to be an empath, and when you talk to them, you realize they're not an empath at all. What they are is they're a narcissist. They're very in tune to how they feel, but not how anyone else feels. So they'll say, I'm an empath, I feel everything. And no, you just feel for yourself, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing about an empath. We have the ability to feel inside someone and know their real truth.
Yeah.
We see behind the mask. We can sense when someone is really good inside, really beautiful inside, or not.
Yeah.
So I use the term wannabe empaths.
Yeah.
There's a part of them that would really like to be one, but they're not. So,
right.
You just smile and say, pat them on the back and, good on you, and walk away.
You have to, because they won't get it. And
no.
But they're teaching the same way you said we're teaching them, they're teaching us as well.
Absolutely.
We're teaching one another always.
Yeah.
So I think that's, that's that's been something I just had to laugh at, because it was like, wow, I wish you could feel what I would feel. Then you would understand how I feel. You'd be an empath.
A lot of empaths won't say they're an empath.
Yeah.
So if someone who, goes right out, so I'm an empath, you've got to question that, because we're really humble people.
Exactly. Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, I don't say that often, and I always feel that's so. See, there again. Thank you, because I feel guilty sometimes when I say that. I feel like I'm not guilty. I feel like it when I say that. I feel like, well, who am I? Am I trying to make myself feel superior? And so I'll even question that. So I'll try to skirt around it and say it in a different way, other than saying I'm an empath, because I'm so sensitive to the fact that it's abused.
Yeah. So I just say to people that I don't know, if I know they're an empath, we talk empath to empath. Mm-hmm. But for everyone else out there, I just say I'm highly sensitive.
Yeah.
That's that's not too revealing.
Yeah.
In Australia, not many people know what an empath is, so it's not something you can talk about anyway. You
know what's so interesting to me? Every time, like I'm always talking about the United States and like I'm in the South, so I'm where slavery was, predominant, and where there's a lot of religious belief systems and a lot of just ignorance for me and what I see and who I have been myself. And so when I look at people like in New Zealand or Australia or the UK, I'm like, I'm running into all these very aware people, and they're saying, well, there's not very many people that are aware. And I'm like, what? Like, everyone that I'm connecting with is not in the United States for the most part. So it's really interesting for us and the people that we're surrounded with, that what's really occurring is that there are people aware all over this planet, but they're not for some reason in our particular area. Mm-hmm. Like, we're isolated. We're isolated for a reason, to reach out. Yeah,
and it's also we're placed around the planet, mm-hmm. Strategically, because we're those columns of light. So if the columns of light were all in one place, we wouldn't be able to spread the light around.
Exactly. So, yeah, so I got to quit being so hard on the area that I live in, because I realized that. I was like, we're all going through this. It's not just me.
Absolutely. And I really find that a lot of, we say the same kind of things. It's like, am I crazy? How do I protect myself? They're all things that are significant to what we're all going through. So, it's okay. People write to me and I write back saying it's okay.
Yeah.
It may feel crazy for everyone else, but it's completely normal for an empath to feel that way.
Yeah.
And that is a relief.
Yeah. So I will let you go ahead now and share how does an empath protect themselves?
Okay. There's a lot of talk out there. There are other people that say you need to protect yourself, but I don't buy that. We don't need to protect ourselves, because we are what we are. We need to take care of ourselves. So it's like,
okay, that's a better way to say it. How do we take care of ourselves instead of protect ourselves? How do we take care of ourselves?
We can't protect ourselves as such, because when you think of protecting, you think of putting a shield around you to cut yourself from whatever you're trying to protect yourself against. And the fact is we can't, because it's our nature. So if you're so bent on protecting yourself all the time, you're actually going to harm yourself in the long run. So because all your focus is about protecting myself against that, which is, it's like getting a concert pianist to cut off his fingers, and such. So the real issue is about caring for ourselves. So number one is me time. So setting as much time as you can. I live in a beautiful house where I have my study here, and this is my if you want to call it sacred space. So I come in here and I'm safe, and I spend time with myself, and it's great. So, and another thing is, one thing I've recently really connected with is that we need to be creative. That's so important. We need to express ourselves as a way for us to release the emotions from other people. So if you feel that you can paint to express yourself, what it is for me is I make soap.
Okay.
So I go out in our garage and I make soap. Beautiful smelling soap with beautiful pictures and molds in it, and I'm expressing myself. So it's how we transmute the energy. So we take on energy from other people, which is usually negative, because people don't want to give away their good energy. So we take that on. So we need to express ourselves, and in expressing ourselves, we transmute that energy into a positive energy. So people pick up my soaps and they go, oh, this is great. This smells great. This feels great. So I've transmuted the energy that I picked up from other people and I put it into something creative.
Do you need to get some water?
I got my cup.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's another really important thing. Next important thing is grounding ourselves. So, if it's the minimum easy thing is to put your bare feet on the ground without shoes on. It's going out and hugging a tree, the famous hugging the tree.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Gardening, so even if it's your creative thought is to, make plants in pots to sell. Being creative, being connected, each weekend, go for a drive in the country, sit on a rock somewhere. There are all those ways, and water is the most wonderful thing for us empaths as well. If have a bath with, the old sea salts and some lavender oil and soak in the bath with a candle, those are ways that we can release the energy. So if we don't do those things, it builds up in our body and we get sick.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that completely, because I will tell my husband so many times, like, I feel dehydrated and my thirst can't be quenched. And I'm like, what is going on? And I started to realize that had a lot to do with it. And so what I do is I make sure that I'm not drinking water that's all chemicaled up and whatever. I make sure that I get really true, pure water, as pure as we can get it. And I spend a little bit extra for it. And it makes such a huge difference, where I could have drank water from the kitchen sink, for example, and I could drink it 8 hours a day and never have my thirst quenched. But when I drink real water, I don't have to drink as much, and I start to feel that hydration and my life force being rekindled, Yeah.
One thing, buy some shungite. Shungite, and I have an urn with shungite stones in it, and I drink the water from that. That's really high energy shungite and high energy water. And I have shungite around the house.
Okay.
I have my computer next to my bed because it helps empaths. It's the empath stone.
Okay.
So I've got an article on my website about shungite. So that's really good. Really helps us.
Okay, great.
So the natural reaction when you find out something about yourself being an empath, you want to learn how to protect yourself, but that's not the way to go. It's learn to care about yourself.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'd like to share something with you that happened yesterday. And it comes along with just being an empath. It's really difficult for me to feel other people's suffering. So if I'm in pain, I can deal with it. Like, I'm always like, I'm really strong and I know that I can deal with my own pain. For when I watch someone else in pain or someone else suffer, it's much stronger for me than it is for myself. And it doesn't have to be a human being. It can be any living being, period. Anything that exists. And so anyone that knows me knows that I have, because I know that I'm from the star system Sirius, and I also have a deep connection to Lyra. And I happen to have cat eyes in this particular incarnation. And I think it has to do with the fact that I'm coming into the awareness of my connection with the feline beings. And so I take, for some reason, all of these stray felines have come to my home. And I live in the city. I live on a main road, and I have got probably 20 felines living in my backyard. And so I provide them food, water, shelter. And the ones that are really weak and they can't really survive out there, I take into my home and I care for them, and just give them a different type of life. But I take care of all of them, okay? And I used to try to interfere with their process on a different level of when they're getting ready to cross over and go into the next reality. I would try to stop that. And what I've realized is there's some that really come to you and say, help me, I want to stay here. And there's others that are like, just, I want to go, let me go. And I couldn't deal with those that wanted to go because it was so painful for me. I didn't want to watch the process, so I would walk away. The last two instances where they were going to cross over and go where they were going, I decided to not walk away. I was like, I have to do this. I have to sit with them and support them in that process. So yesterday, there was a kitten that was ready to go. His body had already become very stiff, and his breathing was very intense, and it was obvious that he was going. So what I did was I went outside and I sat with him, and I kept trying to, this was very interesting for me, and observing myself and my lack of awareness, and then my awareness at the same time. I kept trying to put a towel under it so that bugs weren't, like flies and bugs and, anything wasn't crawling onto to him as he was going over. But every time I'd put the towel under, he kept crawling to the earth. He wanted to feel that connection. I was like, I'm so stupid. What am I doing? I'm trying to interfere, Yeah. And so instead I was like, okay, I get it. And so I just was rubbing him and telling him I loved him and that I was there to support him in his transition.
Yeah.
Very difficult for me because I'm feeling everything that he's feeling. Now, I feel like I was given this beautiful gift in the process, because what occurred was, as he was about to take his last breath to leave, he was lying on the earth, and I observed that he literally got up. Now, he couldn't move. He couldn't do anything. So when people would say, well, how do you know there's life after death? I just was given this beautiful experience, even though I know there's life after what we call death.
Yeah.
I was gifted because I stayed through this process. That kitten got up and just all of a sudden took off running. And I'm like, I'm thinking, what's just happened here? Took off running and then just collapsed to death. To cross over. And what I was like, oh my goodness, he really saw where he was going. Whether he ran right towards it. And when he got there, and I was in awe of the experience. I was like, wow. He just saw where he was going and had so much enthusiasm that he was able to pick up this weak body and go for it.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
And it was beautiful. And I was so grateful for the experience and the fact that I was also able to overcome this. I feel this so intensely, I can't do it, so I will do this.
Yeah. But it's, we empaths do difficult things. There's no healing in doing it easy.
Right.
There's no lessons learned in having it easy. So we put up a hand. We'll say we knew that it was going to be hard, but we're doing it anyway, and we're going. We're growing for it, and the planet and everything on it is growing from us. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing, we're a noble job. We're beautiful souls, and we're being bashed around a fair bit by the world, but we're okay.
Yeah.
You know, we really are. We're okay, and it will be okay.
Yeah, we are. I agree. We are. Yeah.
We can do it. You know,
We,
you
we
can do
can.
it.
We can. And is there anything else that you would like to share before we close?
Oh, there's lots.
Well, if you have something you'd like to share, go ahead.
No, I just the knowledge. You know, that's probably what I just said is the important thing. You know, we're going to get through it. It's going to be okay. You know, look at the big picture. Okay, we may have a rough day today, but in the long run, it's all going to be okay.
Mm.
You know, connect with other empaths, get support. You know, talk to people that will hear you. You know, don't make the mistake of talking to your friend from high school who has no idea what an empath is. You know, connect with other ones. As we connect, the whole connection gets stronger. You know, so it's okay. We're going to be okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And so anyone that is going to listen to this, I would like for you to share your website with them so they can go and, communicate with you, because I feel like you'd be a huge support system for them. I mean, you helped me so much today.
Yeah. You know, simple is empathcoach.com. That's how easy it is. So it's not too hard to remember.
No.
And then my page on Facebook is Empaths Are Awesome. So,
okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you've shared, and I would like to maybe do this again down the line, to go into it in more depth. I feel like you did such a great job of just sharing what an empath is, why we're here, what the differences are in empaths, and how we can, just empower ourselves to not be afraid of our gift, our talent. This is a gift. This is not a curse. It's not, it feels like it sometimes because it is painful.
Absolutely.
And we do want to shield ourselves, many times, because it's a lot. And it can be like, sometimes I'm like, it's like you're in a room and it's like everything is moving fast, but it's also in slow motion. So it's like, won't, like just, we have to know how to respect, love, honor, and appreciate the gift that we have.
Yeah, we put our hand up for it. We're no victims at all. So
no, we're not. Yeah. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia.
Yeah, it's so great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Yeah.